Hello and welcome. I am so glad you've decided to join me today. Go ahead and settle in, get completely comfortable, and let's just take a nice deep breath together. Today we are focusing on something incredibly common, yet, it's rarely talked about with the kindness it deserves. We're going to be looking at polishing our everyday English fluency, completely free of any judgment. This explainer is all about taking the English you already know so well, the vocabulary you already have, and just smoothing out the rough edges so you can sound naturally confident anywhere in the world. So, tell me if this sounds familiar. Do you speak English every day, maybe at work, or maybe hanging out with friends? But still, occasionally you get this nagging feeling that something you just said sounded a little off? Well, please know this. You are absolutely not alone. Literally millions of us face this exact same thing. And why is that? Because our beautiful local languages, our mother tongues, they naturally influence how we construct sentences. We translate directly in our heads without even realizing it. The cadence and the structure of our native languages are so deeply ingrained that they just sneak right into our English. And honestly, that is perfectly normal. Our goal today isn't to say your English is bad, not at all. It's simply to build awareness. Okay, let's take a quick look at our gentle roadmap for this explainer. First, we'll cover first impressions and introductions. Then, professional and office jargon. Next up is time, dates, and events. Following that, we'll tackle direct translations and idioms. And finally, we'll wrap it all up with a quick grammar and rapid fire round. We are going to take this nice, slow, and steady. All right, let's jump right into section 1. First impressions and introductions. We all know that introductions are where we make our absolute most important first impressions, right? Whether that's at a big networking event, starting a new job, or just meeting a friend of a friend. Let's make sure you sound your absolute best from the very first word. Now, we hear this specific introduction all the time. Someone walks up and says, myself, Rahul. I'm going to pause for just a second here. How would you fix that? Can you guess the more natural way to phrase this? If you guessed, my name is Rahul, or even easier, just I'm Rahul, you are spot on. Native speakers keep it remarkably simple when they introduce themselves. What's really interesting here, though, is the why behind the correction. Why exactly is myself Rahul incorrect? Well, it comes down to a gentle little grammar rule involving something called a reflexive pronoun. Words like myself, yourself, or himself, they are used only when the subject and the object of the sentence are exactly the same person. So, for example, you'd say, I hurt myself. You cannot use myself to start an introduction because it just doesn't stand alone as the subject of a sentence. It's a tiny tweak, but replacing it instantly elevates your introduction. It makes you sound effortlessly fluent. Let's clean up just a few more introductory phrases. Imagine you're meeting a brand new client. Instead of asking, what is your good name? Which, is a direct translation of a very polite greeting in many local languages, but it sounds a bit unusual internationally. Simply ask, what is your name? Next, when you're chatting about your family, instead of saying, my cousin brother, you can just say, my cousin. English already uses the word cousin as a beautifully gender-neutral term, so adding brother or sister is a bit redundant. And finally, rather than saying, I'm having two brothers, just remember that native speakers use the word have to show possession. So you would naturally say, I have two brothers. See? Simple, clean, and perfectly clear. Moving right along, let's enter section 2, professional and office jargon. The workplace is a high-stakes environment, isn't it? Whether you are firing off an important email or leading a team meeting, sounding internationally understood is absolutely crucial for your professional growth and your confidence. Here is a classic. I bet you have probably seen this in an email today. Please revert back. Take a breath. A much more natural, universally understood way to handle this corporate etiquette is to simply say, please reply. Or if you want to be a bit more conversational and friendly, please get back to me. So the absolutely crucial point here is understanding the word revert. Why doesn't it mean reply? Well, by definition, to revert means to return to a previous state or condition. For example, an IT system might revert to its original settings after a crash. It literally does not mean to answer an email. And that is exactly why native English speakers get so confused when they are asked to revert back. Plus, using revert and back together, you're basically repeating the exact same idea twice. Let's walk through a few more workplace scenarios, nice and slow. When you are sitting in a meeting, instead of raising your hand and saying, I have a doubt, try saying, I have a question. In English, the word doubt strongly implies uncertainty or a lack of trust in what's being said, whereas you are actually just asking for more information. Next, if you are traveling for a conference, saying I'm out of station is uniquely Indian. It's a charming leftover from the old railway days. But globally, people just say, I'm out of town. Now, what about moving a meeting to an earlier time? We often say prepone because, well, it's the logical opposite of postpone, right? But prepone just isn't a word used globally. Instead, say, let's move the meeting earlier. Finally, instead of let's discuss about the project, drop the word about. The word discuss already means to talk about something, so just say, let's discuss the project. You are doing wonderfully. Let's transition over to Section 3, Time, Dates, and Events. This is all about how we describe our timelines and major life milestones to other people. Now, listen to this sentence very carefully. I passed out in 2021. This specific mistake is one of the most common ones out there, and honestly, it often leads to some highly amusing yet incredibly awkward misunderstandings when you are speaking with someone from the US or the UK. The correct natural phrasing is I graduated in 2021. Let me paint a picture of why this is so funny. Imagine this dialogue. You're sitting at a cozy little cafe in London, chatting with a brand new friend. You lean in, and with a proud smile, you say, I passed out in 2021. And the native English speaker just looks at you with deep, genuine concern and says, oh no, were you okay? Because in American and British English, to pass out means to faint. It means to become unconscious, usually due to heat or illness. It definitely, 100%, does not mean to complete your college degree. So please, always remember, you graduated. There are two more time-based nuances we really should cover. First, instead of saying today morning, the natural flow in English is to simply say this morning. And for our second point, this one is about speaking with profound sensitivity. When speaking of a loved one who has died, please avoid saying, my grandfather expired. Respectfully, we say that products like milk or medicine expire at the end of their shelf life, but human beings pass away. Saying my grandfather passed away honors their memory beautifully, and it helps you sound so much more empathetic and naturally fluent. Let's move to Section 4, Direct Translations and Idioms. Now, this section is genuinely fascinating. It explores the concept that when we translate word for word from our mother tongue directly into English, we often create these entirely new idioms that leave native speakers completely scratching their heads. Consider this wonderful, incredibly vivid phrase, don't eat my head. I have to smile at this one, because in Indian languages, this makes perfect, expressive sense when you are frustrated with someone. It paints a picture. But if you say this to a colleague in New York, they will be utterly confused. There's no way they'll get it. The natural English equivalent is simply, stop bothering me, or, if they're really on your case, stop nagging me. Let's untangle a few more of these literal translations. Imagine a colleague is totally overwhelmed with options. The phrase, do one thing, is virtually never used by native speakers to offer a solution. Instead of saying, do one thing, call me tomorrow, try saying, here's what you can do, call me tomorrow. It sounds so much more supportive. Next, because we use the exact same words for opening doors and switching on electronics in many local languages, we often accidentally say open the light. In English, we turn on or turn off the light. And finally, when you're sitting at a restaurant, you don't order for food. That for is completely unnecessary. Just look at the waiter and say, let's order food. And this naturally brings us to unnecessary filler words. You know, our bilingual brains sometimes like to add a little extra padding to sentences just to add emphasis. We say return back, but the word return already implies going back to an original place. So just say return. And then, oh, there is our favorite word, only. He is coming tomorrow only. In global English, this random placement of the word only at the end of a sentence just clutters things up and confuses the listener. Keep it clean, keep it direct. He is coming tomorrow. We are nearing the end of our journey today. Let's step into Section 5, Quick Grammar and Rapid Fire. We are going to build up to what is perhaps the most notorious lifelong grammatical mistake that so many of us make. Okay, here it is. I didn't knew. We hear this constantly, along with I didn't went or I didn't saw. The correct grammar is I didn't know. Let me give you the golden grammar rule right now so you never, ever forget it, and you can start correcting it naturally in your own mind. After the word did or didn't, you must always, always use the base form of the verb. You see, did already does the heavy lifting of telling us the action happened in the past tense. So it is always didn't know, didn't go, and didn't see. Keep that golden rule in your back pocket. All right, let's do a fun rapid-fire round to clear out these last deeply ingrained habits. Ready? Instead of the very old-fashioned colonial phrase, kindly do the needful, say, please take the necessary action. Instead of time pass, say something to pass the time. Don't say batchmate, the standard international term is classmate. Rather than asking where do you stay, which actually implies a temporary hotel visit, ask where do you live. Change today's night to simply tonight. And finally, be a little careful of overusing isn't it at the very end of every sentence. Your tag questions actually need to match the sentence structure. So instead of you're coming tomorrow, isn't it? You'd say you're coming tomorrow, aren't you? Wow, we've covered a lot of ground together today. So ask yourself honestly, how many of those 20 mistakes did you catch yourself making? I want to reassure you right now, look at me. If you've been making 5, 10, or even literally all 20 of these mistakes, it absolutely does not mean your English is bad. Not for a second. It simply reflects your beautiful bilingual background. You are actively translating complex thoughts across completely different linguistic frameworks in real time, and that is a massive superpower in itself. So, what are our big key takeaways for this explainer? First, awareness is the absolute key to fluency. Just knowing these subtle differences puts you miles ahead of the game. Second, small, easy tweaks are all it takes to make you internationally understood in any professional or social setting. You don't need to go out and memorize a whole new dictionary. And third, remember that direct translations from your mother tongue are what cause the most errors. Give yourself the grace and the time to gently separate the two languages in your mind. And that brings us to the end of our masterclass. Your goal today is super simple. Choose just 3 of these expressions to consciously replace this week. Just 3. And watch how naturally fluent you begin to sound. I empower you to take these small tweaks into your workplace and your daily life with complete pride. But remember, language is a living, breathing thing that is always evolving. So I leave you with this. What other secret, literal translations might be hiding in your daily conversations, just waiting to be polished? Thank you so much for learning with me today. Stay curious, be kind to yourself, and keep practicing.